Wow, I can't believe we finished filming the pilot for Mortal Hunters. Post-production should be so easy, and we can get it done pretty quickly, right? Right? What's up, dogs? It's Matt, and today we're talking about what it was like making my first season of Mortal Hunters. If you want a refresher on what Mortal Hunters is, I highly recommend checking out the series in its entirety on the Warped Pictures YouTube channel. It's pretty dope, and you can see the growth we had while making the series because this whole experience was full of lessons. Some were great, and others were brutal. But that's not the focus of today's video. Today we're talking about post-production of the pilot, as well as getting the rest of the season casted. By the time of writing this video, it has been about 2 years since we had filmed the pilot. It's weird because it feels like it was just yesterday, but also feels like we did it 10 years ago. A lot of character development has happened in that time, so that's probably what it is. I was pretty pumped looking back on all those memories, and really thinking about how hard it is to make a film. So literally making anything is impressive, let alone a season of a web series. But I'm not here to stroke my own ego. Well, maybe a little. It was really hard, you guys. If I want to brag on myself a little, I can. Anyway, I was so pumped looking back on the series that I decided to try making an edit to the song Revenge by XXXTentacion. So, if you haven't watched that yet, I highly recommend you do so because I think it's pretty fire, and it works as a highlight reel for all the fights throughout the series. But watch that one after you finish this one, okay? Cool. And while you're at it, you might as well show my and the Warped Pictures channel some love by liking and subscribing. Appreciate it. It's a great way to stay up to date to see what me and my good old pal Andrew are working on. Plus, I'd literally love you forever if you subscribed. Back to the main story. So, after we wrapped up filming, Andrew and I had a few meetings talking about post and getting the series casted. Andrew told me that he believed post-production would take roughly 1 month. That's perfect! We posted late February, early March to help build interest in the season, hold auditions sometime in April, and start shooting beginning of June. Everything was going according to plan. Now, all I had to do was write the entire season. Uh-oh. I love to write and tell stories, and I had so many ideas in my head of how the story should go that I gave myself 6 weeks to write the 10-episode season. In retrospect, this was a huge mistake because every script needs time to really cook and go through several rounds of rewrites and edits to tell the story as effectively as possible. Now, don't think I just wrote a rough draft and that was it. Every final script I worked on was on their 3rd draft, so it wasn't really 10 scripts I wrote in 6 weeks, it was more like 30. That pushed me to my absolute limit mentally. I would wake up at 6 in the morning and write until midnight. But I don't want you guys thinking I just wrote for 18 hours straight. I still took care of myself by taking breaks, eating, going to the gym, and I would have meetings with Andrew to spitball ideas. It was still very mentally taxing, and I really wish I gave myself a little bit of time to let those ideas simmer a bit. After the episodes were written, I tallied up the cast. Of course, there was me, Haley, and Kelton, but I wanted there to be 5 groups of hunters, with each of them consisting of 2 people except Jax. So that's 9, plus the 5 bosses, plus a messenger, plus characters that are in one-off episodes, making the total go to 28 people. Oh dear. In my playwriting class, my professor would always tell me I had a habit of making the cast super large. But I've always found it easier to world build with a larger cast. That's something I'm trying to work on because finding 28 actors and making sure I can schedule a shoot around their personal schedules is a hard task. Remember, this isn't low-budget filmmaking. This is no-budget filmmaking. So all of the scheduling, communication, and organization falls on the shoulders of yours truly. That's not even including the time I need to rehearse my lines and make any small adjustments I need to the scripts. What's wrong with me? 6 weeks had passed. I went on a tiny side mission to see my sister get married, and finally got the scripts in a place that I really liked and felt like they could be made. I met with Andrew and Kelton, and we talked about the cast and auditions when Kelton said he would make a few phone calls and get us a space. Perfect! We'll have an audition space, and we'll still have time to build interest for the show. How far along is editing going, Andrew? Oh, the editor hasn't started. What? Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Well, I sure as shit don't either. You better tell that editor to get his ass in gear because we're running out of time. I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty ticked off. What do you mean after 6 weeks you haven't started? You're the final part. We need you to do your job or else the pilot will never see the light of day. Ugh, it's fine, it's whatever. I don't know this guy's life and I can't expect him to drop everything to edit this when he offered to do it for free. So I looked at the things I can control. And so Andrew, Kelton, and I worked on getting auditions ready. We met with the, at the time, head of the community theater in the city we're from. We talked about Mortal Hunters for a second, She told us her interest in filmmaking and how she wants the community to start being more involved in film. And she said the city needed more guys like us to help push that. Oh, shucks. Thank you, we're trying our best, Then the meeting took a weird turn. And for the rest of the time, we talked about these other guys' film projects, and it started to feel like they were pitching ideas to us. I'm sorry, I thought we were here to talk about Mortal Hunters. Okay, I'll keep listening to this project I don't care about. It was strange, but worth it because now we had an audition space. The next step was getting the word out to have as many people interested as possible. Remember, we still needed 25 actors to fill the remaining roles. So we posted about auditions, and I reached out to a few actor friends I knew to tell them to try out. They were actors I had worked with in the past and knew that they would be great fits for the series. Some were on board immediately. Some had questions, but eventually gave in to my persuasive tactics and agreed to audition. And others were hesitant, scared of being on film and not sure they could dedicate the time. But I didn't give up, and I begged, pleaded, I cried a little bit, assuring them that I'd work with their schedule, and they, reluctantly, agreed. We had plenty of actors fill out audition forms, and it calmed my nerves a bit because I was confident we could fill the cast like we needed to. I will say though, a lot of people need to learn a little thing called audition etiquette. We had a few people who were obviously not cast that sent in very bizarre audition forms. Any special talents? Psh, many. Can you make these shooting dates?
No, but you can just reschedule the shoot, right?
Have you ever acted before? No, but I scream really well. Like, what the heck are you talking about? I'm convinced a lot of these were joke submissions because people are annoying and stupid, but others still showed up and acted like complete assholes. Like we were supposed to convince them why we needed their bad acting in the project. But that's me getting ahead of myself. The pilot still hasn't come out, and we're about 2 weeks away from auditions, and not having anything to show people what the project is was a tad concerning. I asked Andrew if the editor was done, and thankfully he was. And now I'm just gonna watch this and... oh no. It's terrible! Okay, me and the editor are now buddies, so I want to be respectful. But what he put together was not good. For starters, I wasn't in it. Every time I had a line, it was off-screen or shots of the back of my head. My character is the lead, so doing that felt a tad... silly? The cutting was very sporadic, and the editing in other areas had a lot of loud sound effects that would have made me turn off the video and tell YouTube not to recommend the channel to me anymore. It was really disappointing because I was so excited and we worked so hard filming in the freezing cold to get this done. To have an edit that isn't good enough to show people was very discouraging. I talked with Andrew saying that everyone will no-show auditions if we post this. And this was going on Andrew's channel. He was scared it would reflect poorly on him if it went up too. Making a film is more than just recording, acting, and posting. Everyone involved needs to be good at what they do, or else the weak link can bring down, if not completely ruin a project. And editing is one of the most important parts because you have final say on what the audience sees. Every reaction, establishing shot, and angle of the conversation is in your hands. So if you don't care, it shows. Andrew, being the total Chad he is, understands this better than anyone, and spent the last week and a half to get an edit together. And guys, it was great. We still had hiccups, footage that went missing, fights that didn't come out the greatest because we didn't have experience filming fight scenes, and a hard time finding sound effects that didn't sound cringe. Regardless, I was proud. The pilot on Andrew's channel is the one he showed me, and I was confident someone would love it as much as we did. So, the night before auditions is when we were able to post the pilot, and luckily, people seem to enjoy it. It's sitting at a nice 1.8k views at the moment, which is pretty cool, especially because at the time, I believe Andrew's channel was sitting at about 150 subscribers. This was just what we needed to help build interest for auditions. We had so many people tell us that they watched the pilot and they loved it and were hoping to get cast to do some fun fights as well. That was amazing, and now all we had to do was sit back and watch everyone's auditions. Some actors came in with really positive energy and read their parts perfectly. Some people even made my jaw drop because they did such a good job. Others had a harder time. And to some people's credit, they really gave it their best effort. Nerves just got the better of them, or they just lacked the experience. While the rest just had bad attitudes, wanted to be cast even though they didn't prepare, or they just flat out didn't show. If you want to be an actor, that is one of the worst things you can do. You're literally saying, hey, I don't care or respect your time and I'm unreliable. Like, why would you do that to people who could give you an opportunity? I don't want to hold grudges, but I'm not working with people like that, and I don't think anyone should. The ones that told us they weren't coming to auditions were also really rude. Like the dipwad who said he had many talents. Guess what? He didn't. He waited 5 minutes before his audition to finally message us and tell us that he wasn't coming, and the way he phrased it was just very obnoxious. Sorry, I don't really care to do your little film project. I have better things to do. Again, why be a douche to people who could give you an opportunity in the future? I understand you have a life outside of the project, no need to be an asshole. Whatever. I've seen him act before, and I didn't have high hopes for him getting a role anyway. I was still really happy with most of the people we saw, and we had a whole other round of self-tapes that we needed to go through. Some were really good, and others, I had no idea what was going on, but not a lot of people know how to record a self-tape. So, Kelton, Andrew, and I talked about all the auditions, spoke on who might be good fits where, and looked at people's conflicts. Now, we did have to let some people go because of scheduling issues, and those really sucked because I really liked them and I really wanted them in the project. Scheduling was the deciding factor for a lot of these, because if you can't make it to the shoot, we can't really use you. And trying to get almost 30 people's schedules lined up is hard enough. We couldn't just change the shooting schedule at the drop of a hat. So after a couple weeks of deliberating, we had an idea of who we wanted. And I was just praying that they would all accept their roles because honestly, I couldn't imagine these roles without them. We sent out the cast offers and we waited. For like 15 minutes because after that, the email was flooded with people accepting their roles. We were so excited with all the actors that we had in mind. And honestly, I don't think we could have casted it any better with the talent that we had come audition. We did it. The pilot was out and we had our cast. Now we have to get ready to film the biggest project we've ever tackled. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've missed talking about Mortal Hunters on the channel, and seeing that it was the anniversary of filming the pilot was God's way of telling me to get this video made. I love sharing my experiences with y'all in case y'all are thinking about making your own web series.
Or maybe you watch these videos because you can't get enough of my buttery voice and beautiful drawings.
Please let me know what you guys want to see on the channel in the comments below. I do everything from talking about my past projects all the way to discussing films and TV I like. And really soon, I'm about to start sharing drawings and characters that I've made because obviously I love to draw. So be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel if you like what you're seeing and you want to see more. Because that's just what cool people do, and you're clearly a cool person. Only a cool person would wear a shirt that cool. Well, I'd love to stay and chat, but I think I'm gonna heat up some spaghetti. Catch you later, dogs.